Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. It's Wednesday, 9 o'clock here in Ireland, 10 o'clock in France. So it's time for our spiritual light. It's good to have you all here with us in this cold and wet evening here, at least here in Ireland. I don't know in UK and in France, but it is a typical Irish weather. And we are close to St. Patrick's Day, so don't forget to wear something green
Green.
on Saturday, on the 17th. is it is St. Patrick's Day. So let's
Yes.
let's put everything green. So good. And
Green.
today's topic, it is the workers of the last hour. The workers of the last hour. We talked about it probably 1 year and a half ago, but we brought it today as the importance for the context of the today's world's conjecture. So let's greetings our friends. So good evening, Miss Gibbons. How are you?
Hello, good evening. I'm very well. Hope everyone is well. Sorry I wasn't here last Wednesday, but I did go to, I was interpreting for this Brazilian medium who is a painter, and he did incredible work, extremely beautiful work, really. So it was really nice, and it's nice to be back. And I hope everyone is all right and happy. And, as usual, we have an interesting theme to talk about that sometimes can be very confusing. So we try to clarify this a bit. And so there you are. Então, boa tarde, bom dia a todos, ou boa noite, onde quer que vocês estejam. Prazer estar com vocês novamente, falando sobre um tema interessante para discutir, para aprender. Espero que estejam todos bem e que Jesus nos abençoe a todos. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice to see you,
Bonsoir.
Charles and Stevan.
Yeah, good to see you again. We missed you last week, my dear. So bonsoir, Charles.
Bonsoir Steven, bonsoir à tous. Hello Silvia, welcome back. We are very happy to have you back again. Yeah, interesting topic. Workers of the last one, the last shall be the first. Let's look a little bit about it, really, in the view of the changes which are necessary on the earth in order to have a sustainable future.
Yeah. So good. Let me go to our video here. No, by the way, yeah, no. I couldn't find a nice video to show to us here. There are a lot videos on YouTube, but none of them is bringing the message we want to bring today, and that's the reason why we not put a video, because we say the understand of this parable. We're talking about here Matthew 20 from 1 to 16, the parable of the works in the vineyard. And this parable is a storytelling from a story told by Jesus in the New Testament. And many people have different interpretations of this. I'm not saying the one we're gonna give this to you today or our understanding for this parable, it is the right one. It is perhaps one more, but it is up to you to decide or get a piece from one, get a piece for other explanation, get a piece and build your own version. But summarizing, this parable talks about God's generosity, talks about equality and fairness, jealousy and envy. What more? The trust in God, and I think the call to humility. So I think these 5 points I stated here, it is the common point among all the versions we have about this parable. And this is what we probably will concentrate our conversation today. Okay, Charles, you want to kick off the discussion?
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Because the guys who work the whole day on the vineyard receive the same salary as the guys who have been called at the last hour to work only during 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, it does not seem, it's a parable. So the parable, we need always to take the meaning out of it. And Kardec is really very good in this, isn't it? The
Yes.
Gospel according to Spiritism is really full of parables that we are hardly understanding. How could that be? What is the meaning of that? And of a sudden, Kardec's bringing a light on those. Of course, he's not the only one, but he in particular was indeed very good on this. And here, of course, he had the help of the spirits who helped him, giving some messages in order to understand better what is the deep meaning of this parable. Because at the end, what is the purpose of life? What is our goal? Our goal is to progress, isn't it? The law of progress. We talked about it already several times. So what is important is, did we reach this progress? Did we reach this level of evolution? Yes or no? Some will reach it in 1 hour. Some others will reach it in
Years.
millenniums. Okay? So what? If the thing is, what is the evolution level you have reached? If the guy reaches this evolution level in 1 hour, he is worth the same as the guy who reaches it only after some millenniums. And what is the difference between both? The difference is the second one, which reached it in 1 hour. Of course, I'm a little bit making a caricature here, but the one who reached it in 1 hour worked very hard, intensively, was strongly using his goodwill and his will to reach that goal. While the other, let's take it easy. Why to do today what we could do tomorrow? This type of laziness or whatever. You see, at the end, he will also reach, but he will need much more time. And that's exactly, one of the meaning of these parables, that of the worker of the last hour. The importance is the result. And the spirits are very clear in saying these which were there available to work and for which only the opportunity to work was missing. It's basically not the fault of bad use of their goodwill that they have stayed at that place. So seeing that, it's also another argument to say, if they did not make anything to be lazy, if they were ready to work from the first hour, why should they receive less if they just missed the opportunity to have the work? So we are bringing, the logic behind to understand better this parable. And in the same, at the end of Matthew 20:16, Jesus is also saying So the last shall be first, and the first last. For many are called, and but few chosen. So this is also something very interesting. A lot of people here on earth are the first one. You know, they are, how do you say that, jouer des coudes in English? They are making maneuver in order to pass in front of the others, to be the first one and so on. While some others are saying, this person maybe is very on a hurry, maybe he has some urgency, somebody, children or mother or whoever, very ill, so I will let him go. The other one taking the thing with humility, with abnegation. So what are the values? The will to go to be first and to pass over on to the others, or the abnegation and the how to say, wishing good from the second one. Of course, on the earth, the one maneuvering will be the first one. But on the sky, in the spiritual world, which one will be the first one? It's probably not the one who was the first on earth. It's probably the one who was, with his abnegation, looking for the collective interests as a priority over his personal interests. How do we call the people whose personal interest comes first before the global interest? These are selfish people, you know, and selfishness, together with pride, we know it's not the best way to evolve quickly. Okay, so very simple as that. You see, when we try to understand these parables by making these daily life examples, it helps a lot to understand them, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true, my friend. It is true. I have some comments, but first I would like to hear Ms. Gibbons what she wants to say to us.
Well, it's very interesting. I mean, Charles gave a very good explanation of the parable, and also you did talk about it. And I think, like some few of the parables, when you first read it, it doesn't seem to make any sense, because if you think in terms of the material world in which we live, it would be that in the first instance, you think, oh, that's not fair. He starts working 8 o'clock in the morning. The other one starts work at 4, and they get paid the same thing. But immediately, when you stop to think what Jesus had meant by that, is a completely different way. He's talking about in a spiritual way. And like Charles pointed out, one of the points was that the ones who came late was not because they didn't want to, it's just that they waited, but there was no opportunity for them to go into the work. So they do the work to, but they fulfilled what they were they were doing. And also, I think it's interesting that in the parable, the man asks, why are you saying this? Don't I have the right to do what I want with my money? And I agree with you to pay you a penny. So I'm paying you a penny. That's what we agreed. And I think this shows as well how sometimes we don't really stop to think many things. We look things in a selfish way. We don't see other people's point of view. And I think more than ever, we are living through a time now that your opinion is almost either someone accepts, but you're not allowed to think differently from anyone. I think before, when we have fair play, I think, I thought something, you thought something different, and we agreed to disagree. and will leave to posterity, whatever it was, to confirm, because the future will always bring what is right. The truth will always prevail. And it's not a question of, it's my truth, your truth. This, I mean, if we think about it, it doesn't really exist, because something either is truthful in every single sense of the word or they're not. It's not a personal thing. So nowadays it's almost difficult that whatever you think, if someone does not agree with it, they create a lot of problem, almost violence. I mean, we look into our streets nowadays, is becoming terrible. A group of very violent, very vicious people taking over the streets, and their opinion has to prevail when they put everybody else who doesn't agree with them in danger. And, it filters through as well. And I think this parable is very, very important in that sense, for us to stop. Don't compare ourselves with other people, to do what we need to do. If it's 10 hours that we propose to do something, we do it. And if it's only 1 hour, it's 1 hour. We need to do our work and to do the very best we can. And it's interesting that I had a quotation from Voltaire from last week, which I think goes so well to today's discussion, because Voltaire said, every man is guilty of all the good that he did not do. And I think this is so profound, because while we compare sometimes with other people, you're doing this and you should have been doing something else, I'm not doing my part. And in the end, we are responsible for what we have to do ourselves. Each one of us have a work to do. And if we haven't been, I'm not going to be bothered with this, I'm going to leave it for later on. Yes, that's not fair. But if someone was there, as they say, and I think Charles put that quite well, he is waiting. No one came to hire him, that person. But when they did, he did his utmost. He did his very best. And he didn't stop to compare how many hours. He just did everything he can. And I think that's for us as well. We need to do the work that we have to do. We know that each one of us have come with a mission to fulfill on this earth, that this life that is given us, we have a purpose for being here on earth and to fulfill it. And it can be, sometimes you see, and it's interesting how people say, Gandhi had a mission, Mother Teresa had a mission, and Chico Xavier had a mission, and St. Francis had a mission. Yes, they had a mission, but we also have a mission. Maybe it's not so grand or something, but each one of us have to do our very best. I think Emmanuel has in one of his messages that he talks about every piece of work is important. Everything, because if you're building something and if you don't put a foundation, if it doesn't, everybody works properly in the foundation, the building will fall. And you cannot put a building up if someone will do the walls, someone will do the windows, someone will do the floors, someone will do the electrics. And every little bit of thing will make it. Someone has the idea, he designs it. The engineers will work on what is possible to build within and the materials that you need to build, and then you have the workers, and I think this is so important, because that's how it is. Maybe I'm only going to paint the walls, but although it's not as a big one as doing the building or designing the building, if I don't paint the walls, they don't look nice. And I think that's the point. I don't know, maybe I feel that each one will be there at the time that we have to be there and to do the work that we have to do. Some people will have children, they get married, they have children, they have a responsibility with the life of children that they bring into the world, that a spirit has to be educated, has to be treated. Others were going to do this work, help. So all of us have a work to do. So if we concentrate in doing what we need to do, all the good that we have to do, as well as we can, as much as we are able to do, and that's okay, and leave the others to care for their own work. And I think basically, I don't know, at this point, not compare yourself with others, just do what you have to do. So
Yeah, I like the I like the approach, and both of you. Uh, it's
I don't know, my internet keeps going down. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes, but every now and then everybody disappears.
Oh,
Oh dear.
okay.
Mm.
Because when we talk when you talk about God's generosity, we're talking about uh, it's it's to everyone. Anyone can go there. The rich, the poor, the slave, the not slave, the white, the black, the Catholic, the Spiritist, the Protestant, everyone. The heaven is to everyone. When we talk about equality and fairness, it is every one of us received the opportunity to do it. When we talk about jealous and envy, it is because we always look at our neighbor. Oh, why he has a better car than me? Why he needs to carry a lightweight compared to mine? Why his cross is smallest than mine? When we go to the path of trusting God's providence, is I don't care the size of my cross. I don't care the size of the lift I have to wait. I don't care what is my task. I will fulfill it. I will have bad days, I will have good days, and I will fight. I will move on. I will reach my goal. And this is connected to the call to the humility, because you need to recognize your weaknesses, you need to recognize your strengths. But we always want to compare. We always want, oh, I worked more than he, so I deserved more. No, here is not, we're talking about how much did you work or not. Here we're talking about opportunities. And some people are ready and other people are not ready. Those who are ready, they can go, they can enter. Those who are not ready, they just need to go some time, and shortly they will be ready. So this is the fair context. This is the more this is a lesson of democracy. So um so Charles, um how to accept, because I said now I need to accept my my cross, my weight, my destiny, my mission, you call it whatever name you want to call it. But I said here, we need to accept it, fulfill it. We will have bad days, we will have good days. The only certainty I can give to myself and to anyone here who listen us, you will fulfill it. I just don't know when. So do you have any incentive for those who are complaining and saying, "Oh, I am the worst person in the world. No, everybody's happy except me. Life is not so great. I don't know. I don't have no way out. I will gonna kill myself because nobody understands me. Nobody cares about me." Do you have any incentive for those people, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, that is a very difficult and serious question, because generally the people who talk about, for instance, and their life, committing suicide, have to be considered with a lot of care, because most of the people who commit suicide, they warned before that they would commit it, you know. So in terms of prevention, I think it's something which is very fundamental. It's again the vision. I mean, you thought about, yeah, my neighbor, he has a nicer house, he has a newer car, he has this, he has that. What we need to be aware always is, yes, of course, he has this, his pleasures, he has a lot of satisfaction with that. But one day, we will go back home, isn't it? Go back home where? To the spiritual world. Into the spiritual world, do we take the car and the house with us? No, they stay here. This we are sure, 100% sure that this will happen. Okay?
Yeah.
So what is important is what we take with us, these eternal values, our conscience, what we learned intellectually, the progress we made also to become a better person morally. These are the values we take with us. These values from long-lasting, eternal values, let's say so. But all what is temporary here on earth, one day we will drop everything here. So put you in the feet of a person who was only living for the earthly goods and enjoying and have fun and pleasure and whatever. What will be his situation when he arrives on the other side? Looking that he cared only about this temporary stuff, neglected completely the values which are eternal. He will, of course, reach there not in a very good situation. And this is just, how to say, common sense. It's obvious. And so the fact to be always claiming and shouting and giving excuses and whatever does not help us to progress. If we want to progress, let's take the excuses aside. We may even have justifiable ones, but let's just take a focus on the work, on the progress, on solving the problems, overcoming the difficulties we have in life, looking for help. You told about people who with a tendency of going to suicide. A big message is go and look for help. You will always find someone, beloved one, or people, even in a church or in a spiritist center or wherever. Go there, knock on the door, and say, "Hey guys, I really need help here. Can you help us?" And you're sure you will be helped. For sure, you will be helped. You will find someone to help you. You are not alone. Nobody is alone. We even have, each one of us, a mentor which is personally dedicated to us. So when we are shouting and claiming and whatever, what are we doing? We are putting a kind of a barrier or taking distance with this mentor which is here to help us. Huh? Whilst when we do a little bit effort for humility, for resignation about the things we cannot change, for trying to do good, to learn, to read good things, we are doing the opposite movement. We come closer to our mentor, to our guardian angel, if you prefer. And from that point, we enter into a beneficious circle, because coming closer to him, he will have a better access to us, help us even more to overcome the natural difficulties. So that is the point of view we need to have. The death is not the end of everything. The materialist people, of course, when they have a fatal disease or whatever, which cannot be cured, whatever, they just give up and they don't see any future. But once we are convinced that we have a soul, once we have understood by looking to the facts and the evidences that we have a soul and that this soul survives after the death, the vision changes completely. The most important is not this earthly stuff, it's our soul. So whatever are the earthly problems we can have, to have a wider vision, a bigger lateral vision, seeing the life not only from this temporary incarnation here on earth, but wider, also the life in the spiritual world. This gives us a lot more power and strength in order to cope with the difficulties, to overcome, to solve them, and to go progressing in this path of evolution. Okay, but for this, we need to have this understanding. We need to cultivate these values, which today are always also gathered into this concept of spiritual intelligence, isn't it? Empathy, disinterestedness. Let's do good for doing good without awaiting anything in return. We know that we will get things in return, but this shall not be the motivation. The motivation is, let's do good for good. Let's help. Let's collaborate with the good spirits, with God even, to be the co-creators, as we say, seeing all these aspects positively. So in France, we say, even the sky can fall on our head. We will stay quiet and full of confidence. Whatever the difficulty comes, we can overcome it. So that's the point, the vision we need really to cultivate. I know it's not easy. Sometimes we fall back. Sometimes someone is coming and put the foot so that we collapse. Sometimes some people are aggressing us. But okay, that's part of our daily bread, if I can say so. That's part of our daily life. If we see all these things from a higher point of view, they will very poorly touch us and not jeopardize us, not preventing us for continuing our path on evolution.
Perfect. Perfect. My dear Gibbons, how to cope all these, how to deal with the monster inside me.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear what you said. Your sound disappeared for a minute. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no problem. How to deal with this monster inside me, because our worst enemy, it is ourselves. How I need to behave in order to not allow my negativity, my dark side, let's say, involves me and do not hit the light, hit us.
Well, what you're saying reminds me of a saying of Buddha, that if your compassion cannot extend to yourself, has no value. And I think everything like Charles was saying, and the, what you call monsters, we have come from many lifetimes. We have had many difficulties. We have caused many passions and many pain on others. And now we have come to a certain point in understanding in our spiritual dimension and our spiritual life, that we begin to see the monsters that before we were completely unaware of. But I think this quote, is very, very important, because we can only be as good, as kind, as understanding, as empathic, as forgiving to others if we are for ourselves. And most times we try to do everything from the outside, and we may be kind and empathic and forgiving and loving to others, and at the same time that we hate ourselves. So I think that is a thing as well that Jesus said: love your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all thy soul, and your neighbor as yourself. And the second commandment is as important as the first. So, because if you don't love yourself, you don't have love for others. And I think we need to accept who we are. We cannot, most times we battle with ourselves who we are. And we forget that, we need to bring some peace as well. We have wrong things. We've done some wrong things. Redo them. Do them better. Change the ways. But usually we are so critical. We are so horrible. And I think one of the greatest problem that sometimes we get into, if we've done something wrong, we get into this vicious circle of feeling guilty. And guilt is not only a feeling of, that it makes us feel very bad, but also it completely takes away your power, because you get into that vicious, I've done wrong, and you don't have any stimulus to do something right, to change, to move away from that. And I think whenever it is possible for us to see what is wrong, we needed to self-analyze ourselves. We needed to see what we have within that still falls short from what we consider to be a good person. And I think sometimes you have to have a little meditation and talk to those parts, as you said, talk to the monsters within and say, why are you there? What is it that's called? What pain have you got? Because monsters, evil, is ignorance. A person behaves in an evil way because they are ignorant of the light. And I think we need to see these monsters not as an enemy, but someone that we need to extend our hands to help. I've done something wrong. If I become conscious of what I've done, if it is within my power to go and apologize and go and apologize to whoever you hurt, and if it's beyond you to do that, ask God for help for that person, ask for forgiveness, and ask to do a job that will overcome what harm we have done on others. Because first and foremost, we need to accept those monsters within as someone who's there in pain inside of us, who deserve as much empathy and as much caring as all the people out there. So when we are able to do this and become healthy in ourselves, then we are able to be helpful and truly loving and true forgiving of others. Because normally, especially when we read religious texts or read the spiritual texts, and they were saying, oh, you have to be good, you have to do good, and you have to do, and it's true. But on the other hand, within all the goodness that we need to do, it does not mean that we have to be good to ourselves as well, to be forgiving sometimes. Because if we are only critical, we would never be able to come out of that vicious circle. It's very interesting. I was watching a film some time ago, and the devil was talking, and he was saying, well, people blame me for everything. They don't take responsibility for their own actions, And he was saying, in hell, there are no doors or gates, only the doors and gates that you create for yourself. And it was interesting because you're saying only your guilt, it creates your hell. So I thought, for a moment, I was, oh, that's an interesting thing. Some writer did some research there to come up with something very close to what Spiritism says. Because exactly, no, we blame the devil because he tempted us. Of course, we were there, why would, I think there's this expression, the devil find work for idle hands, because we're not doing anything. And I think this is a very important point. We need to learn to take responsibility for our actions. I've done something good. You don't need to think about it because you have a sense of well-being that comes in doing good. But if we've done something wrong, it weighs on us, especially if you know a little bit, it will weighs on us. So what we do, come back, let's talk to that part. Why did you do that? What is it? What pain do you have that is causing you to behave like that? Let's talk about it. Let's bring out into the open. Let's we open up. Let's let go of guilt. Jana de Angelis talk about this. That guilt is the most negative thing because you will stop yourself from doing good or for doing anything for that matter. So let go of guilt, readdress the wrongs that we are aware that we've done, and try to do the very best we can from that moment on. Because if you think, oh, I did this, I'm such a bad person, then you are a bad person because you don't do anything. So try to be positive and move on. And I think Peter, he said, good covers a multitude of sins. And I think this is very important. Try to do good, but try to be also forgiving, because spirits in darkness, or when we ourselves as a spirit, because we know that we are spirits in an incarnated, in a corporeal life, is because we are, our ignorance is what causes our darkness. So, and Jesus said, don't hide your light under a bushel, bring it out. And I think we needed to bring all those monsters out, talk to them, clear them, free them, forgive them, let them go into light, and be forgiving to ourselves, because we can only love others in as much as we love ourselves. So I think, that's a thing to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, we have to. We have to. And Charles, we have a question for you from Leonardo Bacarin Pedro. 1 second. Oh, my mouse is not. I'd like to ask for Mr. Kempf his opinion regarding the abortion in France. Is that okay? How people are reacting to this as well? Thank you in advance.
So, thank you for the question, Leonardo. I would answer, no, it's not okay. No? But it's legal. It's allowed by law since more than 40 years now. And more recently, as probably you have seen, motivating your question, people are even willing to put it in the constitution. The comment we can do here is very simple. I mean, the human laws are human, so subject to the imperfection of the humans. The divine laws or the natural laws, they are perfect. So the human laws are not always in line with the natural or the divine laws. Okay, but with the time they adjust themselves. Not so long ago, slavery was also legal. Today, it's not legal anymore.
Yeah.
Today, abortion is legal in a lot of countries, but for sure, there will be one day, hopefully soon, that our understanding will, that the people will understand that abortion is not a good thing, and then modify the law in order also not to have it legal, authorized, even encouraged, which is the case today. So the thing is, today we should not blame anyone for this, because you have a lot of people, young ladies getting pregnant or after being raped or whatever difficult situations, and they just go and since the abortion is legal, they do it legally, even advised by the doctors, advised by the social assistants and whatever. So a lot of people, they do it without knowing. So we should be very careful in addressing this topic, calling the attention of the people that the incarnation of the spirit starts with the conception. So the fetus has already a spirit which is linked to it. The DNA is different from the DNA of the father and of the mother, albeit there are some links, as well explained of the genetics, but the DNA is different. So the fetus is not just a part of the body of the woman. No, it's a little bit more. And this can only be understood when we think according to the spiritualist paradigm. The people who are materialists, they say, okay, as long as it is not born, it is property somehow of the woman, and the woman can decide whatever about it. This is the materialist point of view. But do the materialists prove that the soul does not exist, that there is no soul linked to this fetus? No, they don't prove anything. They just state. At the opposite, the spiritualists, they have a lot of evidences showing this. Even a lot of things like the embryogenesis cannot be explained by the law of nature only. There must be some energy there in order to explain the embryogenesis. And the energy comes exactly from the soul, which is already linked to it and which is incarnating. And the developments of the body is then following the human pattern according to the spirit which is linked to it, and not just by chance or only with the influence of the mother. That's not the case. So as soon as this gets, how to say, an evidence, or believed at least, then the law for sure will change. Okay, so no, it's not okay. The people who are reacting to this, saying it's legal, so why should I not do it? Because they don't have the adequate information. They do not have the adequate food for thoughts in order to evaluate the situation properly. Not only on the materialistic point of view, but on the holistic point of view, on the materialistic and spiritualistic point of view. And that's it. So, but what we should not do is blame, is finger point, say you have committed a crime, for instance. This is a tremendous lack of charity. Nobody, people who are doing a mistake without knowing, you cannot blame them so strongly. So every situation is different. I know in Brazil the abortion is still not allowed. Hopefully it will continue like that for a long time. I know there are also a lot of pressures there in order to have it authorized. But we need to proceed here with bringing light, explanation, and also being charitable with the people.
Perfect, Charles. Yeah.
And that is part of the job of the worker of the last hour, isn't it? We
It
got
is.
the information, so we have to spread it. We have to inform. We have to clarify. We have to do our part. So definitively, here we say it's not a good thing. We should do all what we can to avoid, knowing that the only case where the abortion is justified is when there is a serious danger for the survival of the mother. All the other cases, we really should avoid and find alternative solutions.
Perfect. My dear Gibbons, final comments.
Well, I think Charles made the point really well and very clearly, because I think one of the main things is ignorance about things, isn't it? They just see the most people unaware of think, oh, it's nothing, it's not there, it's not alive, I can't see it. But the point is to understand, and I think eventually everyone will accept, because it's a reality, that conception occurs. The life begins at conception, and there is a human being there. And, being, as you said, the workers of the last hour, which are the spiritists, we know that the consequences, not only the physical consequence, but especially the spiritual consequence of an abortion, is something extremely difficult to overcome. There is so many connections there. But if the person does not know, then it's quite difficult they cannot judge, because they don't have the knowledge. And I think that's what is important, the explanation. And then, of course, everyone will judge it in their own way. But, and I think one point as well that Charles made, which I thought was very important, is that not up to us to judge. We don't know. We are not living the life of that person, going through the situation that that person is going through. So it's not for us to judge. We say, we feel what we feel, we know what we know, and we try to explain, but it's not to us to judge. The person will be judged according to whatever motivation the person went to go. Because I know of situations that happen, and if they would accuse the mother or something, it would be a terrible thing. So I think not judging, praying for people to understand. And like Charles pointed out, eventually one day we will not need laws to say, yes, you can do it, no, you cannot do it. The very knowledge, the knowledge that the person will have about life, about the physical life, about the spiritual life, about what it means to have a spirit coming to life, it will stop it. The knowledge will make it stop. There will be no laws necessary then, because the knowing of what it means will be within everybody's access. That they will know, they will have the knowledge, and then things will change by themselves. Because like the example that Charles gave about slavery, we know that exists, it still exists, it's not legal, but it's underneath. But for most people, the idea of having another human being enslaved, is almost sickening to imagine. We cannot accept this, not within a frame of who we are anymore. Would be an appalling thing. But and it doesn't matter if the laws allow or not. The knowing of it will stop it. I think that's what we're going towards as we becoming more evolved, and as we learn more about the spiritual world and the spiritual life. it will go by itself, I think.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you. It's very encouraging, and at the same time, we need to have faith in ourselves. I like the comment here from Marilia Benetta. She said, but is always being there. I will never do myself, but the blame is the problem. Making it legal doesn't mean everyone will do. There's a compliment from your commentary, Charles. I think
Yes, yes.
she's a
And
very good.
in France, for instance, the law cannot oblige anyone to do it, cannot even oblige a doctor to do it. It's only based on only the willing people are
Yeah.
doing it. There is no obligation at all. So really, a lot of people will never do it. That's true. The problem is, Silvia is 100% right when she says, okay, the people do it without knowing, without being conscient of what they are doing. So their responsibility will, of course, be much less. Nevertheless, even if you don't know what you do and you do something wrong, it will have consequences on you. This is what we should. I always take the same examples. When I was young, everybody was smoking. So because it was good, on the TV, everywhere you had people smoking and so on. So the people were not aware that smoking is so harmful for the health. So what happened? The people, even without knowing, which were smoking, they got cancer, they got illnesses. So they got the consequences of what they did. And that's why today it's written black on white, smoking kills. So, of course, today the people who, albeit in spite of this, are still smoking, they have not the same, how to say, circumstances, limited responsibility as the people had before when they were not knowing. So our duty is to explain why it is not good, and as Silvia says, the consequences it can have.
It is education.
Exactly. Because, there is a lot of things that are even hidden nowadays, like post-abortion traumas, depression, this type of things is very little commented, but it happens a lot. You have a lot of people saying, women or even the people who decided, after this decision, I'm not the same anymore. I really regret it, cannot come back whatsoever. So it's not something just light like this. It has, as Silvia told, a lot of consequences. And when we look at it from the spiritual point of view, then of course it gets much clearer, and it will help us not to do it, or to make more prevention. For instance, what's the name of this in English? Preventing to have children.
Yes.
This
Anticonceptional.
anticonceptional.
Exactly.
This is absolutely free because you do not harm anyone. But once the spirit is here, linked to this body in development, it is his body. It's not our body anymore. So there, clearly, we are harming someone, and that is what you should think about.
I just very briefly. Do I have a moment? Just a very briefly moment.
Yeah.
It's just that was something that Marilia said. I'm pro-choice, although I would never do it myself. I think this is as a position, although it seems a liberal position, is not really. I will not do it myself, but you can do it, and I think
No.
this. If we only knew, if women and men as well, it's not a woman's problem, it's a man's as well, because there is a father there. If they knew the spiritual consequences of an abortion, they wouldn't even dream of going through with one. If you can't have the child, give it to adoption. There are so many people desperate to have a child, you know, and you can do that. But I know there is a lot of pressures and everything. So, you know, as we said, it's not up to us to judge to each, but the consequences are very, very dear. So.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, it's the bottom line is let's work. When you're tired of work, work again. When you think it's finished, work again. Until we reach the perfection. The good thing is I shall see you in heaven. I don't know when, but we shall.
It'll be boring.
No?
Hmm.
Okay, let's go to announcements because we're already over our time. So next, no, I pressed the wrong button. Sorry. So next week, our topic is Do Miracles Exist? 9th of March, 9 p.m. We'll be here discussing Do Miracle Exist? Okay, also we have the Spiritism X, 29 and 3rd of June. Please enroll yourself. Go to email office@kardec.org.uk and they're going to give you more details how to make your enrollment. Our series of Camille Flammarion, it is up. Vanessa Castellani just did her at the beginning of the month, and next one will be Roberto Watanabe. Okay. The Spiritist magazine is online, and don't miss Kardec Radio. Keep believing Kardec Radio. This is it, my friends. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Marilia Beneta, for your comments. Thank you, Leonardo Pedro, for your comments. Realia Rom, our dear Elsa, best of you, my dear. Gil Becker, Gil, good to have you here. Our friend from Uruguay, also Dani with us. So that's it. I think the Uruguay is Ruben, isn't it? Yeah, it looks like it's Ruben from Uruguay. There's vote to know, but probably is our friend Ruben. Okay. Once again, thank you, my friends. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your inputs. I will see you next week.
God willing.
Thank you.
God bless. All the best.
Yes, good night. God bless. Have a blessed week, everyone. Much
Thank you.
peace.
Bye-bye.
Good night.